Hi, my name is Will and I am part of the science and research team here at the Tree Council. The Tree Council is a national charity that brings everybody together.
For the love of trees!
We're absolutely delighted to be part of POP25, which is happening this year during National Tree Week, and it's a very special National Tree Week because it's our 50th anniversary of the UK's national celebration of trees. And we are going to talk to you about what the Tree Council does to help trees on our streets, in our parks, in our gardens and on farms. But before we do that, we're going to head over to our young ambassador, Ellie, who is going to tell us all about just why trees are so important.
Thank you, Will. Hello, everybody. I'm a Tree Council ambassador, the young one, and my name is Ellie, and I'm going to tell you today why I think trees are the coolest thing ever. Come on. In through the lungs and out. Sorry, I was just taking my little daily dose of oxygen, and that was provided from our lovely trees here. And trees are our main source of oxygen, helping us breathe every day. So thank you, trees, for giving me my O2. Trees make you happy by giving off good endorphins, making you smell like massive, and they can make you smile too if you just hang around more trees. Trees come in all shapes and sizes too. Look at this pretty one. Trees provide food, not just for us, but for animals too. Like this very tree. And it's delicious. Did you know that hedges are actually just a bunch of little trees, all having gossip sessions with each other, talking through the roots, called a process called mycorrhizal fungi. These little things release so much pollution for our world, that our amazing trees suck that polluted air in through their leaves, making our air fresh and good to breathe. That's why trees are especially amazing. There's this cheeky thing in our atmosphere called carbon dioxide, and trees are so smart that they like to store it in their trunks, and they store carbon in it to help with climate change. Boo! But it's fine, it helps us anyway. That's why trees are so cool. Did you know live trees are amazing habitats for wildlife, giving them places to stay and foods to eat, so the ecosystem can run its course? But dead trees are even better, giving homes to birds, insects and moths. Have a great National Tree Week. It's raining outside, so I gotta go, but make sure to appreciate your trees and start planting more, because who doesn't love trees? Bye everybody.
Thanks, Ellie, for that fantastic roundup of why trees are really brilliant. So let me tell you a little bit about the work the Tree Council does to support trees. Only around 13% of the UK land is covered by trees, compared to an average of 43% in European countries, which is why the UK is working hard to plant more trees. But this means that there is a greater demand for UK-grown native trees that are adapted to our local climates. We've just launched our new programme Growing Together, hoping to boost the number of trees grown from local seeds in community tree nurseries, or CTNs. Let's visit a tree nursery now, where I'll tell you a little bit more. Community tree nurseries can be anything really. It could be just somebody in their back garden who wants to have a go at planting trees from seed and doing it in a pot, all the way up to a bunch of local people getting together and thinking about a tree planting project in their local area. So it could be growing trees in a raised bed, it could be growing trees in containers. It's all about growing trees from seed and coming together as a community to do so. The benefits of community tree nurseries can't be overstated really. There's so many different parts of them which are beneficial, not just for people but for the trees themselves. So from a human perspective, I think it's fantastic that people can come together and learn new skills and socialise and be able to do something tactile with their hands and be able to get out there and enjoy themselves and do something in nature. But from a tree point of view, planting trees collected from seed from the local area, quite often those trees are better adapted to local conditions. So when you're planting trees out on a tree planting project, they should hopefully do better because they are adapted to that area. And another one of the reasons why they're really good is that from a genetic point of view, by collecting seeds from lots of different types of trees and lots of different individual trees, you get a really good mix of genetics, so it keeps our trees healthy and resilient from pests and diseases. We provide free trees and tree planting grants across the UK for charities, local authorities, community groups and landowners. These are often delivered or supported by volunteer networks such as our very own tree warden. But our support for the trees doesn't just stop at planting, and we're really keen to monitor their progress as they grow to make sure that they grow up to full maturity where they provide the biggest benefit. So join me as we head over to Whitby to a tree planting project, as we were doing some monitoring a few weeks ago to look at just how those trees are getting on. We are in North Yorkshire near Whitby, where we are doing some tree survival monitoring as part of the National Highways 3 Million Trees programme. To do this, we are looking at a sample of the trees planted and assessing their condition on a scale of 1 to 4, considering the conditions of the planting location, the care they've had in that first year, so we can explore which species are doing well, which species are struggling, why this might be so, and so that we can provide guidance to help future planting projects to be successful. As trees get older and larger, they provide more and more benefits for ecosystems, for the environment, and for ourselves. And our ancient trees are not just important ecologically, but socially and culturally as well.
Hi, it's John from the Tree Council, and 20 years ago I wrote a series of books about heritage trees of Britain, and this was one of them. This is the Queen Elizabeth oak in West Sussex, and this magnificent old tree, and when I say old, it's at least 600 or 700 years old, possibly more. This fantastic old oak tree is hollow in the middle, and that's because many of our ancient trees go hollow in the middle. There's only about 1% of a tree at any given time is alive, and what this tree has done is it's recycled itself, it's used up all that wood to feed the outer shell, which is the living bit. And over the last 20 years, this tree's done really well. It's produced a new canopy, and over here, none of these branches were really here 20 years ago. It's thickened, it's done really nicely and growing very healthily. And that's in part because the estate have created a fence around the tree. And what they've done by doing so is to take away the compaction from animals' feet, from humans' feet of the soil. And that allows the water to percolate, the roots to develop. And as a consequence, this fantastic old tree is looking really, really healthy 20 years on. So, the Queen Elizabeth oak, one of our most important heritage trees, one of my favourite trees in Britain, and a tree that is looking much better 20 years ago, thanks to really good management and care from the estate looking after it, making it an absolutely beautiful tree.
Helping and supporting our trees isn't something that is exclusively for charities, large landowners and councils. It's something that we all need to be involved with so that we can have a healthy tree-filled future. This National Tree Week, you can get involved in a whole series of ways. You could plant a tree, you could go and look after a tree in your local area, or you could simply just pass on an interesting fact that you've discovered about trees to someone that you know. Your school can also be involved in tree planting this season by signing up to Orchards for Schools on the Tree Council website and applying for a free pack of orchard fruit trees, hedgerow whips, or both. The more we can share information about trees and more people we can get on board, then the bigger the impact we can have. Happy National Tree Week.
Thank you very much for that. Now here's something you didn't know. Susie Imber, who's standing next to me, is a massive tree enthusiast.
It's true.
Favourite trees?
Apple trees.
She's got an orchard. She's got her own orchard. Who has her own orchard?
Which I planted because I love apple trees.
Yeah, there you go. So there we are.
So-
Here we are in a wonderful forest in mid-Wales at the Centre for Alternative Technology, which has transfixed me. I'm obsessed by this place. It's amazing.
It's wonderful. It's
amazing.
wonderful. We're having a wonderful time here.
We
And
are.
actually, this next session is going to be all about trees.
Yes.
So if you're looking for the primary session, though, called Pop Into the Forest with the Eden Project, then there'll be a link in the chat. There's also some boxes along the bottom of your screen.
I bet it's warmer down in the Eden Project down in Cornwall. I'm slightly jealous.
It is a little bit chilly here, but that's okay. Of course, it's National Tree Week, as we've
Yep.
been hearing about. So a hello from Kat, and we'll hear more from Kat a little bit later. We're going to be joined by Professor John Remedios from the University of Leicester.
He's your pal?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
A friend of mine. He works with me at the University of Leicester and the National Centre for Earth Observation in Leicester. So we're going to have a little chat with him. As we go through these sessions, though, please carry on sending us questions. We've had some brilliant questions so far. We'd love to have more. So as questions pop into your mind, just drop them into that chat on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll be asking all of those questions as we go
Yes,
through.
we will. Right, who have we got next?
Yeah, the first person that we're going to speak with is Professor John Remedios. So are you there, John?
I am. Hello.
Wonderful.
He's floating in
Look
orbit.
at that. I'm floating in
Amazing.
orbit. There we are, above the Earth already.
Yeah.
Just trying to.
Here we are, several hundred
Very
miles
good.
above the Earth.
Yes. Well, it's a fascinating place to be. You can just see everything from here. I can tell you. I recommend it. Do join
You know
me.
what, John? I totally agree. And I always like to talk about near-Earth orbit, or we should talk about it a little bit as a continent, like a separate continent in its own right. It's that important.
Yeah, absolutely. Although my experience of it is somewhat limited, I'm afraid I'm a bit the same as you. I've never made it to the space station or anything yet.
No.
There's always.
Don't tell
I
them
think
that.
I'm running out of time, but never mind.
One day.
If I was choosing the astronauts, you'd be first up, John. You and
Thank
Susie
you.
together would be first up.
I think you've got a presentation for us, John. Is that right?
I have. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you all. Fascinated to hear about National Tree Week. What we're going to look at today and what I'm going to tell you a little bit about is how we look at trees across the world, because there are billions of trees actually across that world. And why do we care about that? Because our world is really quite a really challenging, interesting place. We love it, don't we? We'd like to go to many places, but we can't go to them all. So what satellites allow us to do is go and visit those parts of the world that we could never observe for ourselves. We could never get there. And indeed, the satellite that we're going to be talking about today, biomes, is what's called an Earth Explorer satellite for that very reason. It's a European Space Agency satellite, which uses the latest radar technology to allow us to look at trees wherever they're growing, but particularly in the tropics, which have the densest forests in the world. Completely fascinating ecosystems. Actually, if you look at the world, you realize as well, when you look at the world from space, you don't just see one bit of the world, you see a whole portion of the world, and you see the land, the atmosphere, the ocean. In fact, they're all interacting. They're all working together. And one of the things we've learned is our world is a surprisingly sensitive place. A change of only a degree or two changes the formation of clouds, it changes the melting of ice, it changes the growth of trees. They even respond and react to that change. And indeed, they're really sensitive to how much gas, such as carbon dioxide, is in the atmosphere, which is only 0.03% of the atmosphere. So the forests, they interact with the atmosphere. They draw down carbon dioxide when they're photosynthesizing. When the trees die, and we've heard about how much a tree is alive or dead. When the trees die, they fall into the surface and they store that carbon for us for the future. So here are all the different things that could contribute to carbon, both good and bad. You know, the trees themselves are changing the carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. The wetlands are changing the methane, but we are also doing things when we burn forests, we're removing that carbon into the atmosphere. We're adding to that carbon from fossil fuels, etc. So what we really need to understand is what of this is natural, what of this is we adding, what's our sensitivity for the future. And trees are an integral part of this because they're part of this natural cycle which helps to lock away some of that carbon dioxide, control our planet's temperature and make our planet a habitable place. And so really today is all about those trees wherever we can see them. And in this picture you can see Africa and South America where the biggest, densest forest trees are. And so onto this biomass satellite, which I'm going to show you a picture of in a minute. It's a radar. It uses a particular wavelength that's close to radio waves. It's actually sending out a beam. There's a finite chance that this beam will land on your head and bounce back again. But I'll come back to what it's seeing in a minute. But let me show you the satellite first of all. We're just going to play. So here is the satellite in space. Unfortunately, we can't be with it. But we have this fantastic animation showing actually the moment when the satellite, which has already a solar array deployed, is actually about to unfurl its antenna. And this antenna is about 12 meters long. That's about 6 or 7 people's lengthways. It's on a boom, which is the first part you can see just reaching from the satellite. That boom is about 7 meters. So all together, this structure is hanging out about 20 meters from the satellite. And that is what's going to be sending the radar beam down onto the Earth. And you can see as we watch that it's traveling across the Earth. We're seeing different parts of the Earth. It's actually traveling really quite fast as it goes round the world. And here it is unfurling that antenna now. And isn't that a beautiful piece of satellite technology? And from the middle of that umbrella shaped, as it folds out, you see it looks a bit like an umbrella. It's sending a beam down to the Earth, which is then being returned to the satellite to measure the amount of forest, the amount of trees that's underneath the satellite as it moves. So if I can just escape out of that, hopefully, go to the next slide. So this biomass satellite, just to show you a little bit more technical detail for a second as we sort of close up. The beam from the satellite is coming down to the trees, being scattered and reflected back out. And it's actually the passage of that light and the way in which the speed at which it comes, or the time which it comes back, that enables us to map that forest and to work out how much carbon is in the trees. So it's really exciting the way it does it, that the time taken from the satellite back up against a microsecond, so it's really very fast. So let me just close by reminding you that this submission is to measure the biomass of the forest, enables scientists to do something that wasn't possible before, but even more important, it allows us to actually measure in a way that we have never been able to the forest carbon and how that's interacting with that atmosphere, and give us a guide to the likely climate path that the world will follow over the next decades. So just remind you, complex, sensitive and changing world modulated by trees, it's our global world. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I'm complex and sensitive. I know exactly how you feel.
You have my sympathy. We'll help you later.
Yeah, John, and lovely to see you getting misty-eyed over the unfurling of a satellite antenna as well. Actually, I think, you know what it reminded, Arthur C. Clarke had that wonderful quotation, any suitably advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. There is just something so unbelievable about what we can do now in low Earth orbit in terms of looking back at our planet and understanding what's going on. It's mind-boggling. However many times I hear it, my mind is still boggled.
Yes, absolutely. The idea that this beam is coming down very fast, going back up to space, and someone's actually able to capture that beam as the satellite moves is incredible.
Someone invented that. I can't believe it. It's amazing. Anyway, sorry, Susie, carry on. What have we got next? Thank you very much, John. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Coming up next, what have we got? We're going to be talking about secret biomass forests, forest restoration around the world.
Secret biomass forests.
I know, lots more about ESA's missions. But to start with, we're going to hear again from Sven. Sven is a woodland ranger here at the Centre of Alternative Technology. We met him at the very start, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about biomass on our forest right here.
The Centre for Alternative Technology is an environmental education charity based in the UNESCO Dyfi Biosphere in mid-Wales. Our eco-centre is alive with practical examples of sustainable solutions to the climate and biodiversity crisis, from green building and renewable energy to sustainable land use. CAT sits within a regenerated woodland habitat, a place where nature and learning go hand in hand. By being in the woods, whether through measuring carbon, observing flora and fauna, or growing timber, we are reminded of the woodland's unique story. And if we look close enough, we can see our part of that story and the vital role woodlands play in shaping a resilient future. Welcome to Côte Gouarn, a woodland which is actively managed by the Centre for Alternative Technology. This place, or this woodland, would have been a conifer plantation formerly. Now today, through woodland growth, this is actually storing or capturing carbon, and at the same time we're restoring biodiversity. Now, carbon is lost when trees lose their leaves and their branches. This happens in a natural way. What we can see here on this branch is species helping or assisting this decomposition, like fungi, wood lice and worms. Now if we look behind us, if we proportionally take more of this wood out of the woodlands, then we will have a much bigger carbon loss. Carbon is lost even more rapidly and immediately when it is burned. Coedguarn is a mixed species wood at the foot of Ereri, formerly Snowdonia. We see trees of different ages, giving the woodlands a varied structure. How do we describe a woodlands? We've got our trees, we've got the shrubs, and we've got the grasses. And it's actually the trees that store the majority of the carbon. Now, if we look up, then about 60% of the sky is filled by the canopy, which is the top layer of the woodlands. And at the same time, our top height is around 20 meters. The woodlands of Coedguarn support the diversity of plant species, from those forming the upper canopy to others predominant in the understory and shrub layer. Let's look at three species. On our right hand sides we've got Douglas fir, which is needle-leaved and evergreen. In the middle we've got larch, which is also needle-leaved, but which is deciduous. And then on our left hand side we've got the oak, which is broadleaf and also deciduous. And interestingly, because it's got a higher density of wood, this stores more carbon than any of the others. Biomass is measured in tons per hectare. Let's take a 10 by 10 meter plot. That's where it fits into a 100 by 100 meter plot, which is a hectare. Across Wales and the wider UK there are many people measuring 1 hectare plots, and these are used to support the retrieval of biomass from satellites. There may be one near you. We hope you have enjoyed our tour of the woodlands of Cat, and you can see the ways that Cat is actively helping to restore our carbon and biodiversity.
Early drone footage. Sven, thank you so much. That was absolutely wonderful. We came up with a term which a lot of people might have heard of, which I think is really important, given we've been talking about looking at biomass, looking at forests and woodland from space, and this idea of ground truthing. What do we mean by ground truthing?
Yeah, and actually there's projects, as you just heard mentioned, across the UK where they're looking at how accurate the satellite is. The satellite makes measurements and we make measurements on the ground and we compare the two. And so we'd like to understand exactly how accurate our satellite measurements are, and the best way to do that is have someone on the ground checking various places.
Basically, checking your homework is kind of what ground truthing is. It's like you make a, you understand.
Yeah, very interesting. And this beautiful forest, nice to see it in that video when it's not raining.
I know, actually the thing that I was most excited about in this video is, I don't know if you can see next to us, we've got that lift. You might have seen that elevator that goes from the bottom car park of the hill all the way to the top, which hasn't been working for a long time. It's right here, rusting next to me. I want to get it going.
We're excited.
Yes.
They are going to get it going,
actually.
Okay,
so
if you come and visit this place, maybe they'll have that this amazing elevator up and running. We are now going to hear a little bit more about forests, and we've got a little clip by Professor Richard Lucas, who is at Aberystwyth University. He's actually sitting right here.
He's shivering.
We're going to put your questions to him and the rest of the team at the end of this clip.
Good day, I'm Professor Richard Lucas from Aberystwyth University, and I'm going to talk to you about the European Space Agency's biomass project, and also introduce you to the Living Whales exhibition here at the Centre for Alternative Technology, where we'll show you how the biomass data are being used. ESA's climate change initiative biomes project is producing global maps of biomass at 1 hectare resolution, and these maps can be used with land cover to look at carbon losses and gains. Living Whales is a Welsh Government project, and it is providing land cover maps for multiple years for whales at 10 metre resolution. First of all, we use satellite data to create what's called our undercoat, and then we can start adding some of the layers that Sven was talking about in the forest earlier on. So we can work out the leaf type, broadleafed or mid-leafed, and whether it's deciduous or evergreen. We can further work out the carbon content of these forests, and that's also done from satellite data, and we do that through the European Space Agency's Climate Change Initiative. Importantly, we can not only classify cat, we can classify the whole of Wales for multiple years and start to understand the carbon balance of these forests, but also where they occur and what the potential is for restoration in the future. Across the world, there's significant capacity to restore forests, but what actually are we trying to restore? In Wales, there are hidden gems in this landscape. These are the old Atlantic rainforests which occupied much of Western Britain. They're festooned with plants on the branches, really rich in flora and fauna. And they are recovering themselves. Here's birch and there's oak, and so there's big capacity here, and you can look at what was used to be in that landscape. There's holly, there's oak, really big trees that show you what could be. Active planting of agricultural areas is important, but you need to ensure that the economy is looked after also. Now let us go to Australia.
G'day everyone, we're looking here at a 15-year-old regrowth forest out in the savannas of Australia. 15 years ago there was nothing here at all. It was just cleared land. But now, as you can see, we've got lots of trees coming up, regrowth, we've got habitat for birds and animals, and it's moving towards basically a restored forest ecosystem. It's still got a grassy understory, it's still used by grazing animals in places, but the whole ecosystem function is increasing and it's becoming basically back to its natural state.
Forests containing large amounts of carbon are prevalent in the tropics, such as in South America and Southeast Asia. Just 50 kilometers from Belém, where world leaders gathered last week at the biggest climate conference, we can find primary forests with trees as tall as 60 meters, such as this beautiful example here. However, when these forests are deforested or specific trees in the forest are logged, they lose carbon and biodiversity. However, if we let them, forests can regenerate, and the rate of regrowth can be really rapid. But this depends on the type of land use that occurred before they were abandoned. For example, prolonged grazing with cattle limits the capacity of forests to regenerate, whereas if it's cleared through logging, recovery can be quite fast. By combining agriculture and forests in a form of agroforestry, such as here on the island of Cornwall in Brazil, we can see cacao plantations and forests growing together. The forests continue to thrive while people can sustainably live off the land. Field data is really crucial for this. However, satellite data can help us to get a bigger picture of the forests across the world. Our research has shown that in the tropics, the carbon absorbed by regenerating forests is only enough to balance about a quarter of the carbon that's released through the atmosphere through deforestation and fire. So, in summary, there are many initiatives that are aimed at restoring forests, including the United Nations Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, which is mobilizing political, financial, and scientific support, and guidance on how to scale up restoration worldwide. At COP last week, countries from the tropics came together to launch the Tropical Forest Forever facility, an initiative aimed to protect forests better. Now it's time to put our words into action.
So, you've seen Richard's maps of forests in Wales. You can see how nature is recovering all on its own, especially in the rocky or steep places that are too tough for farming. And it's not just happening by accident. There are huge projects working to bring these ecosystems back, like the Atlantic rainforests. Viola took us to the tropics to show us just how fast forests can bounce back. She showed us that regenerating forests can actually catch up to ancient forests, capturing just as much carbon and supporting just as much wildlife. It proves that if we're smart about how we use the land, we can speed up that recovery. And you've seen the view from the ground right here in Australia. We often hear about what we're losing, but look what we're gaining back. The regrowth you saw behind me took just 15 years. In the tropics, trees can hit 30 metres in the same time. It takes a little longer in the UK, blame the cold winters, but the potential is massive. Just imagine what your generation can achieve over the next few decades. These examples prove that nature is ready to heal. It's a powerful force, but it needs our help. And restoring this planet isn't just about planting trees. It's about land management, data science, and smart technology. Protecting our planet isn't a lost cause. It's the most exciting project on Earth right now. You're all invited to be part of it. See ya.
Wow, that is wonderful. What a message of hope we have from around the world there about how we can help our forests to grow back. I've got Richard here with me now. I'm going to ask just a few questions. We don't have a lot of time, and actually I'm going to throw to Peter first. Peter, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Brilliant. Quick question for you. How quickly do animals return to the regrowth forest?
Oh, look, you can always have an analogy about, home renters and homeowners in the Australian forest. So we've got the grazers. They're things like kangaroos and wallabies. They return almost immediately. They love the salad bar that you get, the fresh green grass in a young forest. Then you've got the hiders, you've got the lizards and the small birds. They come in about 10 to 20 years once there's enough leaf litter and messy branches to hide from predators. And then finally, you've got the homeowners. So animals like possums and gliders, they're cute flying mammals. They face a housing crisis. They need physical holes in trees to sleep. And since the trees grow so slowly, these animals can't return for a century in many places.
Oh, wow. Gosh, wow, fascinating. One here for Viola. Can you hear me, Viola?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, brilliant. Quick one for you then. What proportion of the deforested area of the Amazon is currently regenerating?
So it's a good question. So regenerating forests in the Amazon are currently occupying about 4% of the kind of total Amazon area, but that's equivalent to about a quarter of the area that's regenerating on deforested landscape. So it's quite significant potential. And there's lots of laws in place, especially such as in the state of Pará, to increase the rates of restoration happening in these areas and protect these regrowing areas as well. So not just the old growth forest, but also the regenerating forests.
Brilliant. It's really nice to hear about how we can help the forests, how we always hear about deforestation, but it's nice to hear stories about the forest regrowing and how we can support that. One for you, Richard, actually. How can we help with the restoration of forests here in Wales or in the UK?
Well, I think videos like this make you really aware what's actually happening in the world, and I think that gives you hopefully the motivation to at your school and encourage other people to to plant trees, to have projects that can help collectively restore. Maybe there's been a patch in your schoolyard you can actually go and plant up. We've tried that before. It's a great way to go. So just be aware, educate yourself, and look after trees.
Brilliant. And just wanted to finish up with a question that came in. Should we cover Wales with forests?
It has to be the right type of forest. You need to make sure that you've got the commercial side of the forestry is really important. But the native forests, there's some beautiful forests that couldn't come back. They have huge potential, but also there's lots of semi-natural vegetation like heathlands and so on, which are really important for biodiversity as well. So it's a compromise, but you could try and maximise what you can get, optimise the situation, I think.
A nice balance.
A good balance is what you want.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, everybody.
And now we're heading to hear a little bit more about measuring biomass from a single tree. So we're going to hear from Robbie Kirkman and Tom Last from the Eden Project in Cornwall.
Welcome to the Rainforest Biome at Eden Project. Now, as we know, healthy forests and trees help fight climate change, absorbing carbon dioxide gas as they grow and storing it away in their woody biomass. However, destruction of the forests releases that stored carbon back into the atmosphere. The biomass satellite allows scientists to estimate the forest biomass and how much carbon it's storing. They can monitor changes in the forest over time and further our knowledge about the role forests play in the carbon cycle and fighting climate change. But how do we know if the data that the satellite is giving us about the forest biomass is accurate? To check this, the scientists need to compare the data from the satellite with data that's been collected by scientists on the ground. So the question is, how do scientists on the ground calculate biomass of any given tree? Let's go and find out. Welcome to the oil nut tree. Now, if we want to know the biomass and carbon content of this tree, we need to measure two things about it: its height and its diameter. So height, how are we going to do that? Well, to do this, we need two pieces of equipment: a tape measure and a clinometer. I used the clinometer to measure the angle between me and the top of the tree. The angle is 54 degrees. I now need to measure the distance from where I'm standing to the base of the tree. That distance was 18.7 metres, so now we can use trigonometry to work out the height of the tree. So that's 25.74 metres. We also need to measure the diameter of the trunk of the walnut tree, and we do this at a height of 1.3 metres. This is called the DBH measurement, diameter at breast height. Now this pole is already cut to 1.3 metres to save me measuring up. I'm also going to need my tape measure, but this isn't any ordinary tape measure. This is what's called DBH tape. And the scale on this tape has been specially calibrated, which means that although I'm going to wrap it around the circumference of the tree, the reading that it gives me is actually going to be the diameter. So to do this, I'm basically going to have to give this oil nut tree a massive hug. Oh, I can't do it. Got it. Okay. The diameter here of this tree, the DBH measurement, we've got 58.5 centimetres. Good, so now we just need the equation to plug the numbers into. Now this equation is used by scientists across the globe when calculating the above ground biomass of tropical rainforest trees, so it doesn't include the roots. So the above ground biomass for this oil nut tree is 944.61 kilograms. Now approximately half of the biomass is carbon. So that gives us a carbon content for the above ground portion of the tree of 472.3 kilograms. So that's how you can measure the biomass and carbon content of any given tree, like our oil nut tree. If the scientists repeat this process for all the trees in a given plot of rainforest, they can work out the total above ground biomass and stored carbon in that location and compare it to the data from the satellite. From that, they can calibrate the satellite and validate the data it is producing. The data can now be used with confidence to monitor forests in remote parts of the world without having to physically go there with a team. It will help the global community to protect, restore and manage forests into the future for the benefit of biodiversity and our climate. There are also heaps of ways we can help protect forests in our own lives, at home, at school and in our communities. For example, we can think about removing deforestation from our diet. That involves thinking about where our food is coming from and how it's been grown. We can buy responsibly sourced products. We like to say at Eden, your wallet is your weapon. So we can look out for things like Fair Trade and Rainforest Alliance. We can support organisations and campaigns that protect the forest, for example, the WWF and Cool Earth. And really importantly, we can have conversations with our friends, with our families about why forests matter, why they're important, and share with other people just why you care. The actions that we take and the decisions that we make shape the world that we live in. So work together, stand up for nature and be part of the solution.
Yeah, easy to say when you're wearing a T-shirt in a greenhouse in Cornwall. That's all I can say. Hang on a second, I'm just going to work out how much carbon's in you. I'm going to do some clever math. Anyway, there is your homework for the weekend. We want you to go out and measure all the trees in Britain. And I want the results on my desk by 9 o'clock Monday morning.
There are links in the chat for how you can find out more about what we've been talking about today. And any questions you've sent through, Professor Richard has agreed that he will log on and try and answer those for you.
Log on. See? Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
So what have we got coming up, Dallas?
Good question. Well, from space to trees, we're going to be looking at ice. We're going to be going to Antarctica and looking at the importance of our ice sheets when it comes to planet Earth. Cats as well. We're going to be talking to the BBC Natural History Unit, who put together the latest David Attenborough series called Kingdom, which is all about wildcats. And if you think wildcats are all about warm climates like Africa and Asia, the Cairngorms has wildcats. Did you know this? Those of you I know who are watching from Strathallan will know this. Up at the Cairngorms, we have our own wildcats, and we're going to be investigating those a little bit later on.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah.
So a huge thank you again to everyone who we've been talking to in this session. Actually, we've had a really fantastic session today.
It's been really good.
Thanks to everyone who has joined us. Don't go anywhere.
No.
Because we have our next pop-in session, which is just a short 10-minute block, which will be rewilding the Scottish Highlands on a grand scale with trees for life. So that is coming up in just a few minutes.
And we'll see you in a little while, Crocodile.